So you want to roll a Swashbuckler? Well, here's what you need to know. Have you ever played a spectacle fighter? Then you know the Swashbuckler's MO. Deal damage, but make sure everyone's watching you do it. It's the career path for adventurers who lack the talent to become a bard but still need all the attention. The fantasy equivalent of your average failed screenwriter turned far-right influencer. Your entire kit is connected to a metaphorical power switch called panache. You switch it on by doing some goofy shit in combat, and it switches off automatically after you use a big finishing move. Which actions constitute goofy shit mostly comes down to your subclass, but every swashbuckler can do a little somersault around an enemy before stabbing them in the butt. Better known as the Dark Souls special. Other options to gain panache include giving your buddy a pep talk, offering to go last in initiative order, and a taunt? Huh. Guess that explains all the defensive feats. Speaking of defense, I really like the feats that give you tank stats based on your charisma. Really sells that wannabe protagonist fantasy. It's psychosomatic plot armor, further cementing your role as Paizo's plea for you to use skill actions in combat. No, really, please use them, don't just swing 3 times every turn. You get a small bonus to the skills that give you panache, as well as extra increases in feats for said skills. But what do you do once you have panache? Well, you can poke a bad guy for a bit of extra damage, or you can whip out the finisher. In addition to a sizable chunk of extra dam, different finishers come with different bonus effects, like inflicting off guard or persistent bleed damage. They're not just for damage, by the way. Some finishers give you crowd control, while others can even buff the party. But if you just want to one-shot the boss, there's a finisher for you too. Moving on to your subclass. What's that? You're saying I accidentally forgot a class feature? Well, rest assured, dear viewer, it wasn't an accident. As I was saying, your style gives the bravado trait to another skill action, and gives your finishers an extra effect starting at level 9. While none of your class feats are locked behind a specific subclass, the skills associated with certain feats have an implied synergy with certain styles. For example, the Battle Dancer gives you panache when you perform, as well as a feat that makes that do something for you in combat. This makes feats like Focused Fascination not just beneficial, but necessary. Because what in the goddamn fuck do you mean I have to crit on an incapacitation skill for a mediocre debuff? Now this is a subclass. No demoralize immunity past level 9, soft CC that's also another taunt, and multiple opportunities to demoralize under significantly less restrictions. All that's gonna be hard to beat, but here comes the Fencer to take up the challenge. Fainting is already decently useful on its own, but it comes with the ability to extend its benefits to the entire team, or change its benefits entirely. Gymnast is an interesting option. You know how all the athletic actions have the attack trait, so using one and attacking in the same turn kinda sucks? Well, this subclass gives you bonus damage for the trouble, and pairs quite nicely with a feat that makes the whole process suck less. Also, if you're not doing anything with your 4th level class feat, you could do worse than free climb and swim speeds. You can probably skip the Rascal style. Clumsy is okay, and I guess there's a case where move speed penalties would do anything, but the only feat synergy I see is being able to tie someone's shoes together when you run past them. Which brings a novel bravado skill in the form of bon mot, which is a fancy way to say trash talk. It's a solid debuff if comboed with the right mental spell from a party member. Otherwise, there's not much else that synergizes with it, so you'd really only be picking it for the exemplary finisher. In conclusion, if a rogue feels too edgy but a fighter feels too bland, consider the Swashbuckler. It's a nice middle ground with a solid character fantasy of weaponized main character syndrome. But before I go, given how this class incentivizes extra roleplay, I'd like to remind everyone that you don't have to act out every little quip or interaction. Just telling your GM that you said something witty is enough to trigger your abilities. Shy players shouldn't have to embarrass themselves in front of the group just for wanting to play a charismatic character. They should be allowed to live their fantasy of being charming and eloquent as much as everyone else lives their fantasies of being strong or smart or being able to shoot lightning out of their hands. That it also spares me as the GM from listening to players raised on Joss Whedon trying to be snarky and cool is just a fringe benefit.